February 22nd, 1983 was a pretty scary, hard day for me. I went and got groceries, and I was bringing them home and loading them into the house and kind of distributing them throughout the house, and I heard a noise. And I went out, and there was a fellow on my porch, and he attacked me. He drugged me back into the bedroom and raped me. And apparently he was a serial rapist. I was his last victim. He was out on work release. There was a program. He was in prison for rape, but there was a program that allowed him to go to work, and he had his own car. And I think what he did is ride around the neighborhoods looking for victims. I happened to be that one. Then in October 1983 was probably one of the happiest days of my life because my baby girl was born, Anne. And the reason it wasn't the happiest is because she's had 2 children, and those were just extremely happy days for me.
I'm proud of where I came from. Accepting it, it's like a source of strength.
MJ, you were just sharing your story, and Anne was listening in the green room back there to you. Thank you so much for your courage. You said something, Anne, when you joined the table earlier, that there were things that your mom shared today that you had never heard before.
I knew bullet points about the attack. I didn't know that she thought she was going to die. That really impacted me. So her bravery kind of went up a notch in my view, that she could withstand not only such a brutal attack and then also say no to the continuation of violence through abortion. I did not know that the counselors had, counseled you and Dad about he may have a strained relationship with me, or, even what it could do to your guys' marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly haven't heard you say in public what happened to you and what it was like to choose to have me. And I was just proud and amazed that you went through all of that alone in some regards.
Yeah, your dad was a big support. So was Jeff. We have a son that was living with us at the time from Jim's first married, but he always lived with us, and he was a big support. And he was really, when he found out, he was in 8th grade, and I told him that I was pregnant as a result of this, and he says, "You're not going to do anything, are you?"
Oh.
So he was very supportive, and he was very, very pro-life right off the bat. And it wasn't like he had had a whole lot of background in any of it. None of us did, I guess. But my family was less supportive. And actually, Anne, after you were born, everybody was crazy about you. My sister, she started sending cards, and of course, Jeff was crazy about you, and we have another girl by Jim's first marriage, Sarah, and she could not wait to fly in to see you because you were just an infant, and a 12-year-old girl, she likes a baby, so she was all over you. So we had a lot going for us.
How did it feel when Anne was born, MJ?
It was my first and only baby. I'd had a miscarriage several years before, so I was very excited about this. And I had this entire thing worked out about I'm not going to have any drugs. I will have totally natural. And also Anne came early, which really bothered me. She was about 6 weeks early, and I was so afraid something was going to go wrong. I was almost panicking. The doctor said, just go home and take a bath and come to the hospital, because I had started my labor. And at some point, it was kind of a long labor, I suppose, and I was, I think 30. And he says, I think we're going to give you a spinal or something. No, I want to have my baby naturally. I was very glad to get that spinal, as it turned out. And it just felt very, very good. And in those days, we didn't really have ultrasounds where you could determine the sex. So I remember when she was born, the doctor says, oh, it's a little girl.
and we were excited. And because she was 6 weeks early, she was a bit jaundiced, and we couldn't take her home. And it was so hard to leave that hospital without her. And my husband, he drove me back every day after working so I could nurse her at night and hold her. And boy, we got her after about 7 days. She was in a kind of an incubation unit or something to get her skin going and get her bilirubin up or something like that. But anyway, we were pretty happy when we got to take her home.
When you first found out that you were conceived after a violent rape of your mother, how did you feel learning that?
Oh, I mean, it's been 20 years of trying to dissect how I felt even in that moment, but I was 12, so I felt confused. I felt like my place within our family kind of disintegrated because I didn't know, my identity was based on, this is my mom, this is my dad. I know that my brother's my half-brother, my sister's my half-sister. So hearing that your father isn't your biological father, I quickly put together then, okay, I'm not related to the older brother I adore and the older sister that I, cherish. I had felt such a strong connection with my dad, so then I started kind of questioning, maybe even self-preservation. I think I kind of cut myself off from him because it hurt. It was painful, and I felt like everything that I knew was true wasn't true anymore. I'm grateful that I was told the truth. I think no matter when I had been told, it would have been a huge shock. So 12, 22, 32, 40, it wouldn't have mattered. I'm glad to have heard it from you instead of a DNA test and to find out, I'm not even related to the family. But if I could change anything, it would have been, let's talk about it. Are you guys happy I'm here? Did you want me? I just shut down and thought, I'm never going to say, I want everything to go back to the way it was. That conversation never happened. But it didn't erase the knowledge. I just started ruminating on okay, if I'm not related to my dad, who am I related to? I'm not going to ask any questions. So I'll just kind of create this narrative about my biological father, who is a bad man, which morphed into, I thought, he's a monster, he's evil. I thought he was going to be very grotesque. I just let my imagination had no limits to how bad this person was. And I'm sure that was the devil saying yeah, you're bad. You came from something bad. Oh, he's really bad. Don't ever ask. Don't tell anyone what you're thinking. It dehumanized myself. I started being desensitized to anything. Up until then, I had a very strong sense of who I was, my core values, what I would say yes or no to. And the decade after learning about my conception, that needle moved so far, farther than I ever thought it would move. Okay, sure, I'll try a cigarette, or sure, I'll, bend my morals here or there. And it went so far. I never knew I was capable of certain things until I just kept shoving the real me down and kind of just walking around like a shell of a person because I felt bad. But I know I'm not bad. And these conversations, if I had heard something like this then, I think it would have transformed my life. I thought I was alone.
MJ, did you know when Anne first found out about the circumstances of her conception, did you know that she was going through this internal turmoil?
No, and I feel bad finding it out now. In fact, I even went to confession, you're so obtuse. Why don't you pay attention? But I remember I talked to Dad about it, and he said, she always pushes away. And I didn't know that all that anger was hurt. I just didn't get it. And so it's a relief in a way now to understand what you were going through, because now I get it. Oh, you were really rocketing, But then I was just like, if principal from that high school calls me one more time.
Were you afraid to tell her?
No, I wasn't afraid. If I could do it over again, I would make I would have planned it out for her. And my husband wasn't around even when I told her, because she just kind of started asking one night, why don't I have a brother, and why didn't you get pregnant again? And I thought, well, okay, this is it. I'll just talk to you. I think if I could redo it, I would have worked with her father for us to actually make an anniversary of it, to sit down and talk, and maybe just do it by the lake or something, but where we could control some of the narrative and explain it and have enough space to ask questions and set the groundwork for, you can come and ask questions anytime, and we'll help, and and I knew she wanted to see this rapist, a picture or something, because that was a big question of what does he look like? And we could have helped her with that even, and would have. So, because I wasn't afraid of any of that, I just didn't quite understand how to do it.
And is there anything that you've wanted to ask your mom or you've wondered about that you haven't asked her yet?
I just wanted to know that I was wanted. And I guess I think that question has been answered. Are you proud? Are you happy that I'm here? I just want to make you proud. I feel like she went out on this limb and had me, and then I was this mess of a teenager. Like, good choice, Mom. As she said, the school was always calling. I was in constant trouble. No kid should call their parent from jail once, let alone multiple times. I was just on a downward spiral that I could not get off of. And that compounded the guilt of, my mom chose life and I'm abusing it. So it's hard to put it into words. I felt really ashamed that I wasn't, this huge success story. And that really catapulted the next 10 years of my life, where I had to achieve and succeed. And I became a workaholic, and everything had to be perfect. And that made me sick too. I mean, there was no winning. I either was the worst or the best, but I was unhappy. The thing that has healed me is just being myself. Not perfect. I'm not the worst. I'm just a human. I appreciate that you have loved me through the ups and downs. And of course, I want to make you proud.
Oh boy, you do.
Well, I'm glad, because that's really, at the end of the day, that's what's most important to me.
No, you make me very, very proud. I'm kind of in awe of you in terms of your writing and your ability to just sort of jump into situations and learn, and your ability to connect with people. I am very proud of you, and I've never not been proud of you. I've been confused, but not unproud. I have no regrets about any of my choices with you, except, perhaps like we just talked about, how I could have told you better, and we could have made it a little bit more gentle and cushioned some of this information a lot more.
I think talking about it would have helped because this is so.
And I thank God for this whole thing.
That's what I mean. Lila, you are changing our life.
God's perfect timing.
It's really changed our life.
Mm-hmm.
Having you tell these stories, it doesn't feel shameful anymore. It feels like we can use, God redeems brokenness, and we can use this to help other people and speak the truth. I'm tired of having people tell our story. All the lawmakers are telling our story. The news every day, it's the stats, and these are unwanted children, and I'm tired of being told that. It's exhausting. So it's good to be able to come out and be proud to be here.
Yes.
It really is. You're giving me a sense of worth, that I'm proud of where I came from, And I wouldn't have said that ever. I would have, I did not want to have that as my conception story. And fighting against that was what made me sick. Accepting it and speaking about it now it's like a source of strength.
I remember after you were born, not very long after you were born, I said, if somebody gets in an accident and they lose their arms and legs and then they become a great artist by using a brush in their teeth, I don't think they wanted that accident, but what a wonderful outcome. And I says, I have Anne. I didn't particularly care for that rape, but I wouldn't change anything because the outcome has more than made up for it.
Well, yeah, if I could choose between being conceived by a rapist or not being born, I'll take my conception story. I'm really grateful to be alive.
Yeah. And so much of the harshness I can tell is just kind of all this talking and learning has just, for both of us, has just really
Softened the edges.
Yeah. It's nice to have things out in the open, and it's nice to understand.
I couldn't agree more.
Is there anything else that you want to say?
I have to say one more time, Lila, thank you, because I started watching these panels. I think you came out with them maybe last spring, even a year or so ago, and I was just captivated. And then I got this email that if you have a story that fits into one of these groups, let us know. So I immediately thought, well, I do have a story, and I don't know my way around technology like I used to. So I kind of sent the whole email to Anne and said, would you help me get this a link on YouTube? And I'm going to submit my story. And it just kind of broke a lot open in a very good way. And I just really am really thrilled about it all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lila.
For your courage and your love and sharing your stories.
You bet.
It was a rough road raising that little girl, and we made some missteps, and she had some hard times and some bad memories, but it was worth every bit of it. And we're on this side now of feeling very grateful for all of it. And if I was to say one thing to women, if you're pregnant, I don't care how you got pregnant or what the circumstances were, I would just urge you not to be afraid. There's not any reason to ever take that life. You will be so much happier if you prevail and have your baby.